Hello, I'm Michael Carter. I'm going to do a reaction video on a Derek Prince video on how he's going to explain how you can tell if you're under some kind of a spiritual curse. So he's going to go through a list that he's made just from, I'm telling you, he did ministry work, deliverance ministry, all kinds of work for decades and decades and decades. So these are the things that he picked up on just throughout his ministry. Let's take a listen.
Now, over the years, I made a little list of indications that to me alerted me that I was probably dealing with a curse. I only say probably. And here's my little list. Number one, mental and or emotional breakdown. Where people fall apart, that's a phrase that's used today. You say he or she just fell apart. That's what I'm talking about, emotionally, or mentally, or both. Number two, repeated or chronic sicknesses, especially if they're hereditary, because, you see, curses pass from generation to generation. Also, in situations where doctors cannot find any normal cause. Number three, what I call
That's important too when you're dealing with infirmity spirits and stuff like that that are locked in through some kind of curse, like a generational curse through masonry or something like that. A lot of times they won't even know what it is, but they're just sick. They keep getting sicker and sicker. That's some kind of a curse. It needs to get broken.
Female problems, barrenness, a tendency to miscarry, and problems with menstruation. And Ruth and I have dealt with so many cases like this that wherever a person comes for prayer in that category, we just simply act on the basis that it's a curse. In fact, we have come to the place where we really feel often we're wasting our time to minister to the sick without first teaching them how to be delivered from the curse. We once called for a lineup of people with female problems, and in the middle of the line was a man. So when he came up, I said, "What's your problem? How can you have a female problem?" He said, "My problem is depression, and that's female." However, I didn't accept his statement. The next one, the breakdown of marriage and family alienation, where families fall apart, where marriages break up, where children are alienated from their parents, brothers from sisters. Very, very probably a curse at work. The next one, financial insufficiency. And I want to be careful how I say this. I don't think that poverty for a short period, it may be a test that God is putting us through. But if you're always short, if you never have enough, if you're always scraping, I think you're very probably.
This one is more common than you think. When you get into deliverance ministry, you'll see this quite a bit, this poverty curses. You should be getting financial blessings more times than not. And then, yeah, you might, doesn't mean you're still not going to have to pay for things or things come up, or like he said, a short season of just being maybe, going through a tough, you might be getting tested to see, if you're going to really press into the Lord and how you're reacting. Are you still tithing through that? Or, just, we go through that stuff for short periods of time, but if it's over and over and over for long periods of time, there's some type of a curse. You got to get to the root of that and break that thing off.
Probably under a curse. Then the next one is what they call accident prone. In other words, you're one of the people who always has an accident, Now this is kind of objective, because insurance companies will check on you and they'll give you a higher premium if they classify you as accident prone. I mean, that's not natural to be the person who always breaks your ankle when you step off the curb, or your wife always slams the car door on your finger, or whatever it may be. Or it's always your eye that a little bug flies into. I mean, It's not natural if it's always going on. And then finally, in a family, a history of suicides or unnatural deaths, if there is a frequency of those things in a family. Let me just very quickly go through that again. Mental and or emotional breakdown, repeated or chronic sicknesses, especially when they're hereditary, female problems, breakdown of marriage, family alienation, financial insufficiency, accident prone, and in a family, history of suicides and unnatural deaths. Now that
the history of suicides and unnatural deaths is very common as well. You see that all the time. You'll see that spirit will just drop down and it'll take out certain people, and then it stays in the family line, and then all of a sudden it hits kids, and then it hits, so that one, you gotta break that off. You gotta get those suicide spirits out, the death spirit, suicide spirit, these unnatural deaths. They usually will hit around the same time period for like men. They'll always have that heart failure at the same time, same year, all that stuff as their their older brothers or something like that. So those are definitely generational curses. A lot of times that's masonry stuff.
doesn't cover everything. So I try to give also what I'd call a general picture, because there are lots of things that could be the result of a curse that are not in that list. And this is what I've come up with as a result of dealing with many different people. You could say a curse is like a long, evil arm from the past, and you don't know how far back. And it's stretched out, and every time you're just about to succeed or get to where you want to be, this evil arm trips you up, and you have to get up and start again. And you get so far, you're tripped up again. And that really becomes the story of your life. And you'd be surprised how many people have told me stories like that. And so many times they said, well, the same thing happened to my father or my grandfather. In other words, it seems to run in our family. Or another simple picture is a dark shadow from the past over your life, shutting out the sunlight of God's blessing. And you can see other people walking in the sunlight, and you know it's there and real, but somehow the sun very seldom seems to shine fully on you. So if any of those apply, you need to be seeking God as we continue with this message for the Holy Spirit to show you what your particular need or situation or problem is.
Yeah, so there you have it. Very, very common. A lot of people. This is a gray area with a lot of deliverance ministries. The people that come against, I should say, people that come against deliverance ministries, they'll say that these curses aren't real. They're not. They're not in effect anymore. But you see, all of everything is so lined up with all of these curses. They're so the same. Everything happens the same. Poverty curses. These people keep losing their jobs around the same time. Accident curses. I have a buddy that was getting into a car accident once a year on the same time. Every single year, he broke the curse off. Never got into another accident after that. So these things come in. Divorce curses, curses of divorce. They come in, and then all of a sudden, these families can't. There's just nothing can save that marriage, and unless they work through that. I mean, that divorce spirit's in there. That spirit of divorce is over that. So you just gotta look at these things and know that even drugs and alcohol and stuff brings on these curses. It brings on these curses to the third and fourth generation, and the bastard curse is up to 10 generations. These things are real. The effects of them are real. They carry demons. They destroy people's lives. I'm gonna I'm gonna link a curse breaking prayer right now at the end here. Listen to this curse breaking prayer, and just say the renunciation prayers when I put them on there, and just see what happens at the end. I got some deliverance prayers at the end of that, and see how your life changes from it. Thanks for watching.